literal fucking race riots happening in Northern Ireland, and no one seems to be talking about it on here. No one seems.
Remember, what was it, last summer, not even a year ago, Black Americans saw with their own eyes that they were Black people in Scotland with Scotland K. Brown, right? And we were like, oh, hey, cousin, how you doing? They like Black people over there? And there were a lot of Black people in Scotland that were like, yeah, well, they don't think that there's racism here, but, well, there is. And then Black people in Ireland were like, yup, there's a problem. And Irish people and Scottish people were like, no, 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 and basically said, like, we don't see color. Remember that? And Black Americans were like, yeah, that this is happening is extremely unsurprising behavior, given the political climate and the economic climate that is happening over there, because it is not a phenomenon that is unique in the United States when there are occurrences such as Tulsa and Rosewood that have happened in the United States' history. The destroying of successful Black and brown, but primarily Black American businesses and neighborhoods at the hands of racist white people. It's not unique. It's not unsurprising, especially given that they're using the guise of protecting women and children while simultaneously putting women and children who are not native to Ireland in danger. Because you set fire to a home when there's women and children living in the home. That means that you don't see those women and children that aren't white as human. That's what that means. So, Black people both in Ireland and the United States have been trying to tell y'all. But I also want y'all to think about the origins of the United States of America and the fact that there are a lot of foundational Black Americans who have Irish last names. Also, in Ireland, y'all use the habitual be. Where do you think Black Americans got that from?
Belfast is burning because of a gentleman that flew from Sudan, Khartoum, to Paris, and then he flew from Paris to Dublin, and then he took a bus and went through the open border, settled in Belfast, claimed asylum, and instead of getting makeshift accommodation, they gave him residence and social benefits. He got all that. Turns out he fled, he left, and now they say he, Hadi Aludid, people thought he was Somalian, but he had tried to, a gentleman called Stephen Ogilvy in Belfast.
There is a pattern that is going on, and you can definitely see that everything that goes wrong with America, the people who are always on the speed dial of other group of people is usually Black folks. It's like Black people are the Americans' avengers. Like everyone who is having a problem will always want to like call Black people at the first, for help. Because we are having people in Northern Ireland who are trying to call Black Americans for help. But one thing that stands out is that Black Americans are responding by saying that we are not avengers. We need to start thinking and standing for ourselves, because for the longest time we have groups of people that don't care about black people. But when they have a problem, it's like black Americans are always on the speed dial. They'll always call black people as fast as possible. Black Americans are a group of people. It's like this source of a pot where everyone wants to drink from. But not everyone wants to wash the pot. That's just a fact. For the longest time, black people have wanted people to stand with them. But this has not been successful. Why? Because the same group of people, they are feeling that they are more important than black people. But at the same time, when they succumb to a problem, again, it is ironical that the first group of people that they think about is black people. So you are left like, what's really happening? So I want us to watch this video, and then I'm going to be back. I'll be sharing my 2 cents in regards to this. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
It's a really nice neighborhood. But radiographer, the NHS, tried to stop him, and he said, I'm going to do you. The man, he was using a kitchen cooking knife, lost his eye. And now the people are angry because there's a loophole that has been used. So they're saying it should be closed. Opposition leader, party, Democratic Union Next Party in Northern Ireland, Gavin Robinson, said it is the collective duty of the government to protect its citizens and to ensure that they close their porous borders because immigration is not working now. And they are now about to spend £3.7 billion to ensure that police can arrest, detain, and deport illegal immigrants. They reject at least 81% of people that come there. But out of 13,000 people, now they are complaining, the citizens, that they have tent cities. And the UK had tried to deport people to Rwanda. They spent about £700 million on that. So the people have also voted against a lot of immigration loopholes, and nothing has been done, which has led to violent protests against violent immigrants. So this gentleman who had fled, there's no record of him in Sudan because he used fraudulent things. But also now, the problem that they're facing is he had been there for more than 3 years. Yeah, because he got there 2023. He still has residence until 2025. But he had left officially. The civil war in Sudan started in April 2023. So he left 2023 February. That's like 2 months before the war started. So asylum seeker. But the people are mad. So that's what happened. So he was trying to take off this section of the man's head. This is body. Yeah. So xenophobia, hey?
What's happening in Belfast right now is really difficult to watch, and as someone who's from there and as a GP, it's important to say that moments like this don't just cause physical harm, they impact an individual's health in a much wider way. When people feel unsafe in their community, when there's fear, tension, anger in the air, we see it. Anxiety goes up, sleep is affected, people withdraw, it has a real impact. And in a place like Northern Ireland with its complicated and difficult past, feeling unsafe in your own home or community isn't an experience that's new to many people who live there. And often at times like this, there's a pull towards blame or towards grouping people together, but one person's actions are not the responsibility of an entire community. And when we lose that sense of shared humanity, when we disconnect more from one another, that's when the harm spreads even further. So if you're feeling overwhelmed watching over this, step back when you need to, talk to someone, don't carry it all on your own. And if you are directly affected by this, please reach out to your GP, to your local church, local support groups, to people that are around you. Because health isn't just physical, it's also how we feel and how we show up for each other, and right now that really matters. So stay safe, be kind, and keep spreading love.
Blaming an entire race on the action of one person, that is racism. And I'm talking about what has happened in Belfast in the past few days. Nobody in their right senses can deny that what that Sudanese man did, one man did to the Irishman, is completely and utterly disgusting, terrible, like what can I even describe? Horrific. There's no denying that. But then using that incident as an excuse to terrorize people in their homes, burn cars, burn businesses because of the color of their skin, that is racism. Why is it that when one white person commits a terrible act, that white person is tried as an individual? There is individuality when it comes to that. But when one black person or one person of color does something horrific, the entire community, entire race is blamed for that action of one person. My heart goes out to the victim. I believe his name is Stephen Ogilvie. I've also read that he's lost an eye from this attack. I'm wishing him a speedy recovery. And my well wishes to the family as well. I have read that they've released a statement and said, do not use this action as an excuse for violence. So please, let justice actually prevail and let the perpetrator be persecuted properly by the law.
So yet again, there are race riots in the UK, Northern Ireland. And again, it's because there's some horrific violence which has taken place and it was done by a non-white person. So white people have took it upon themselves to enact pogroms, race riots, setting people's houses on fire who aren't white. Again, I have to make a video about white people and white Europeans and how they pretend, at least a certain demographic, pretend they're above racism because they face colonialism themselves. When really push comes to shove and something awful happens, and their response is not to be there for the people affected. No, not to be like show kindness to those people who've been impacted, but to harm people who have got fucking nothing to do with this. It's really just an excuse, again, for them to express their racial hatred. It's plain and simple. They're bored and they're vile human beings who want to express their own hatred. And yeah, it's quite fucking disgusting. And there's people in the UK, like Nigel Farage, who more than encourage this. There's many political actors who encourage this thinking. And it does come from saying, we need to stop the boats. We do need, these people are bringing over dangerous crimes and they're bringing over, no, they're fucking not. Crime is not, dependent on a border. Crime and violence transcends borders. Some people even bring crime and violence to other people's countries. Cough, cough, the UK. Don't come saying, oh, other people are bringing violence. You actually went over to all of those countries, brought untold levels of violence to those people, destroyed them, left them as states that could not even properly function, which means you create people who are not mentally stable because they've grown up in an environment of perpetual war and violence, and then they come here because you have presented yourself as this beacon of civilization and people hope for a better life, and sometimes you get people who are so deeply mentally unwell and affected by stuff that you caused, and people get hurt. This is the cycle of violence of colonialism. This is it. This is the cycle of violence of colonialism. You go and do untold horrors across the world, take no responsibility, and then people get hurt. And people can be like, oh, you're making excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm not making excuses at all. This is an explanation as to why things happen. You guys want to say it's racism, that it's just because people from those countries are inherently violent, when you lot, oh my god, it doesn't even touch the fucking sides how violent the United Kingdom is. How Great Britain itself is probably one of the most violent countries, has probably one of the most violent histories in the world. It doesn't even touch the fucking sides. The only country two countries I'd say might rival it is the United States, 3, Israel, and Belgium. And you want to ask about Belgium? Look at the DRC. I needn't say fucking more. Like, you guys, I'm not making excuses that, you allow people from the global south to enact violence. No. But let's just look at things from a holistic perspective, I beg.
I know people are talking about how there's racist white supremacists attacking black and brown immigrants in Northern Ireland, and it is disgusting, bro. I feel like a lot of times people try to act like it's not racist over in Europe, but they originated this shit. That's the fucking source of all of this. And these riots are all happening because a single Somali immigrant took the life of somebody and was caught on camera. And also Elon Musk is definitely boosting this situation and boosting the rage and the racism as well. But it's just so insane how white people will say, well, it's not all white people. It's not all white people. But when a single Somali immigrant attacks somebody, takes somebody's life, you gotta burn every single black immigrant person's house and take the lives of black immigrants. That's fucking insane. And all this going down in Northern Ireland is not lost on me, bro. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the history and how Ireland got their freedom from the UK, and look at the fact that Northern Ireland is still a part of the UK. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And obviously there's probably racist people scattered throughout all of Ireland, right? But when you look at history of that the history of that location, it feels a little odd. You know what I'm saying? I would hope that the majority of Irish people would not want to subject people to the same treatment that they got back in the day. The treatment that they fought so hard against. You know what I'm saying? Very disheartening, very terrible news. It really seems like there's some new racist shit happening every single day, bro. Praying for the immigrants there in Northern Ireland, because they're having to evacuate their homes, and there's going to be more police on the streets. Hopefully that will deter these weak ass motherfuckers from trying to burn down immigrant houses and kill immigrants. But
the town of Belfast, Ireland was set on fire last night. And unlike in 2020, when similar things were happening in the US, the media has not called these mostly peaceful protests.
The majority of BLM protests were overwhelmingly peaceful. Says so right there. A Pew Review study, a Pew survey says that it was. Remember, Black Lives Matter was a very widespread thing, whereas these protests in Belfast are very localised and very specific to one exact thing. But you're not going to mention that. But yes, regardless of what you see on social media and what your Fox News is telling you, Black Lives Matter was overwhelmingly peaceful.
And they've come out in full force condemning this wholeheartedly, saying that it is a terrible, terrible thing to happen to society, but they're leaving out one small detail. That detail being the thing that started all of this.
Anyone and everyone who's been paying attention to the news that's going on in Ireland knows exactly what's going on. I mean, you're American, you're talking to an American audience, so most of them probably don't know. Fox News would have covered it, but they'll covered it in the way that you're going to cover it. But everyone in Europe, everyone in Ireland, everyone in the UK knows exactly what happened. It's very well documented. And I want to see how this guy's going to cover it. Do you think he's A, going to be fair and balanced, or do you think B, he's just going to be he's going to be racist, obviously?
So I figure if they're not going to tell you what really went down, I guess I'll have to.
Spoiler alert, he won't.
On Monday, June 8th, in Belfast, Ireland, a 30-year-old man from Sudan originally, named Hadi Alodid, tried to remove an Irish man's head from the rest of his body. The entire incident is on video, and I obviously can't show it to you here. You can go online and look it up if you're that curious. The victim has been identified as Stephen Ogilvie, a 40-year-old Scotsman who is partially deaf. He lost his left eye completely. His right eye is severely damaged. He suffered deep cuts to his head and face and long lacerations along his back. He, as of right now, remains in serious but stable condition. And yet, for some reason, in all of the posts I see online and all of the articles the media releases about it, they seem to forget this really important detail. I wonder why.
Because it's not relevant. One guy did one bad thing. And this is the part you are missing out, which is why I said that you won't explain it properly. The things that were being set on fire weren't government buildings, they were migrant houses. The reason they had migrant houses is because when one Muslim commits an act of horrific violence, people assume that every single person that's Muslim is going to commit those pieces of horrific violence. And it's funny how this guy will talk about the Carmelo Anthony case, and in that case he'll be very nuanced and talk about how just because a guy's black doesn't mean it's racist to arrest him, and how you shouldn't just judge people based on their skin colour and culture, which I can agree with. But then you'll immediately turn around and judge someone when they're a Muslim. When a white guy gets killed by a black guy, you're quick to say, oh, no, this is a justified prosecution, which I agree with. But now, because it's a Muslim, all of a sudden you can judge people by their skin colour. That is hypocrisy of the highest order.
hospitals and care homes are staffed by approximately 60% of people who've come from other parts of the world, otherwise known as migrant workers. And this is what is going to greatly affect the delivery of healthcare services if people can't go to work.
Care homes, our nursing homes, rely heavily on our internationally educated nurses who come and look after our most vulnerable patients. And the fact that they are afraid to go to work is an absolute disgrace.
Do you know that Northern Ireland takes a very small percentage of asylum seekers in Europe, let alone in the UK? Watch this.
100 asylum seekers receiving support in Northern Ireland. Most of those people were living in Belfast. Asylum seekers accounted for about 10% of migrants in 2024. That's the last full year we have data for. About half of the people coming here were doing so for work or education. Those 2024 figures also show that around 29,500 people arrived, while 23,700 left, giving net inward migration of 5,800 people. There have been significant changes in UK immigration policy since Brexit, which means many fewer people coming from the EU and more from South Asia and Africa. If we look at the most recent census carried out in 2021, we can see that Northern Ireland is not an ethnically diverse society. 97% of the population was white, down just a fraction compared to 2011. Well, before we came on air, I spoke to Tura Aratura from the African Arts Collective. I asked him what he thought needed to be done to stop the racist attacks.
We need.
What's happening in Belfast is simply beyond me. A lot of people are rioting. They want to say protesting, but rioting, destroying properties, vehicles, cars, and all in the name of this guy who has suffered horrific injuries at the hands of a foreign national. But the point is, do you really care about the guy that suffered injuries, or did you just want a chance to riot and destroy things? Like burning vehicles, chasing down people won't help him recover quicker. You're going and stopping cars like you're a police checkpoint and asking people if they've got immigrants in their car. Like, you guys are just racist and wanted the opportunity to take your frustration out on people of color, black people, any minority, to make yourselves feel better. And you're just showing your true colors now. And I'll just say it's not fair to generalize everyone based on one man's actions. Like, yes, he's an aggressive guy, violent, he deserves to be in jail, but it doesn't mean you can go around attacking black people, people of color because of his actions. Like, he was the one that messed up. And now he's in jail. So you got what you wanted. And as he should be. Or he's, been arrested. So just let the police carry out their investigation. Let the CPS charge him with whatever sentence they think he deserves. And just stop the rioting. You're destroying your own property because the people that are suffering are ordinary Northern Irish people. So just, get a grip.
The stuff going on in Belfast is so crazy because, what do they hope to accomplish, right? By burning down your neighborhoods and by doing everything, this is the same thing people were mad about BLM for, right? Because ultimately, you just hurt your own communities, right? It's Irish people suffering. And then if you go target minorities, congrats, you start a race war. But if you think people are so backwards and savage, they'll decapitate you. What do you think they're going to do to you at war? None of this is well thought out at all. And they're probably going to reduce this video to be like, oh my God, why are you defending the guy? I'm not. What he did was terrible. But there has to be some degree of self-preservation and thought into this, right? I'm mad at an immigrant, so I'm going to burn down my own neighborhood. Or I'm mad at an immigrant who I see as so savage they'll behead somebody, so I am going to then fight somebody I see as incredibly savage who beheaded an innocent person. So what are they going to do to me? Again, this doesn't seem like it's very well thought out, and I understand that people are hurt and people are scared, and they're trying to do whatever they can do to regain some control. But let's think about
Dear immigrant nurses living in Northern Ireland, I have said this last year and I'm going to say it again. Please make sure that your original license is active. Your original license, especially for those of us that was not trained here, we came in here with an original license, right? make sure that license is active, because it's really getting to the point where you need to listen. Now, why am I saying this, right? Last year, I came here to tell you that if you are in Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom, with the way the immigration is going, with the racism, with the attack, that you need another license. Maybe go look for another license for another country. I've said it. And I was happy. I was able to put some people through to get one of the licenses that I have. So, and I know that most of you have gotten other licenses for places like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, United States, and all. Like, you've written your NCLEX and all. I applaud you all. So I'm saying this again for the second time. This is the second year I'm saying it, because last summer, I think I said this last summer, where in Northern Ireland, there's been an attack launched. And when this attack is launched, they launch it mainly on the immigrant in Northern Ireland, and majority of us will be in the health and social care, like the care assistants, the nurses, and the doctors. Please don't think I'm biased when I always talk about doctors and nurses, because that is the people that I have more knowledge about. You need to make sure your original license is active, and you need to get license for another place. The reason why I'm saying this is that it is hard time you listen to the locals when they tell you that you are not needed and you need to go back and you need to be black. You are black, especially if you look like me. I am a colored woman. You cannot mistake me for a white woman, and I have an accent that cannot change. Maybe it will change in the nearest future. Remember, they are now stopping us in the car to check if you are from here or not. I cannot twist my tongue. This is how I speak, right? Now, you need another license, and you need to make sure your original license is active, because when push come to shove, which is really coming to shove, you need to go back to your other licenses. Either the one from your original country, either the one from another country that welcomes you. That is the truth. To the one that welcomes you. I have 3 licenses. I've said it. I have 3 licenses. I was actually going to take the exam to get the midwifery license here, because I'm a midwife. But at this point, I've put it on a stop, because there is no reason why I should get that license. Because the one I have already, they are telling me that I am not needed for it. Anyways.
This is what life is like in the West Bank every day. It's been a few days now. We've had this unrest, rioting, race rioting in Belfast, where people are going around targeting people that don't look like them, because apparently those people are immigrants and are causing damage to the country. This kind of thing happens, and has been happening in the West Bank for years. And not only has it been happening, our government is basically complicit. Now, it's important to remember that what's going on in the West Bank is all part of the ongoing genocide. Gaza and West Bank are connected in that they both form territory that Israel is planning to actively expel people. In the West Bank, it's actually kind of worse in this regard, because they've succeeded in doing this, and there are hundreds of thousands of settlements in the West Bank. Again, I hate the word settlements, but I can't think of a more disgusting word right now, so I want to go with that. And not only does this happen regularly and daily, people lose their lives. In this case, thankfully, all the families were evacuated, and so far, anyway, it seems like no lives have been lost. We have cars burnt, houses burnt. But in the West Bank, we don't have firefighters that go in there to try and help them. What we have is IDF soldiers who accompany the racist mob who are going there to try and kill some Palestinians. And our government releases a speech saying, "Oh, we condemn this, but that's what we're gonna do." Again, this is all part of genocide, because in a world in which eventually, after many years, it's gonna take a while, they succeed in basically creating Gaza-like conditions in the West Bank, where they expel the population to a very tiny territory. Then they start to besiege that territory. Then they start to control what goes in and what comes out, as they kind of do in the West Bank now. Again, creating that binary choice of, do you like your hell? If so, you can stay there. Or if you want to get out of your hell, you can leave. This is how the story of the genocide is going to be told. And when I see stories like this, the first thing I think of is like, oh yeah, this is like what life must be like, living in the West Bank.
I remember being a teenager and having bricks thrown at me whilst I was walking down the streets of Belfast, whilst people told me to go back to where I came from, and they hurled anti-queer insults at me. A situation that I rarely ever want to tell people, because of just how painful it was. The thing is, I am from Northern Ireland. As a mixed race, Northern Irish, trans woman, I am from the place that I'm from genetically. Can't go back to where I come from because Northern Ireland is where I come from. But I just want to talk about how organized, how deep-rooted, how strategic the racism is in Northern Ireland. We've all seen the reaction to that man who was attacked in Belfast. The rioters burning people's homes, destroying property, families having to be evacuated, children scared to leave their house to go to school, foreigner and local alike. This is something that really gets me about Northern Ireland, and it breaks my heart. No amount of violence is going to help what happened to that man. No amount of violence is going to fix the problems that people are facing. And the irony of all of this is that the rioters are foreigners themselves, historically. The rioters are mostly loyalists who come from Britain, settled in Ireland. That's what makes this whole thing even more ironic and extremely heartbreaking. If you're in Northern Ireland, specifically if you aren't white, watch your back. Be extremely careful because Northern Irish, loyalist, sectarian, terrorist groups don't play around, and the people who support them don't play around.
Little pig, let me in.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. Again, as you know, I'm your host and presenter Generic Stories. It is highly important to note that black people, they are trying to tell everyone, you cannot expect help from us when most of the time you don't even give a damn about us. So somebody said that family, stop saying black and brown people or black and POC, that people of color. They never include us when talking about equality. Just stop including them. First off, what does this have to do with black Americans? Second off, Somalians say they're not black. Third, Sudan is in Africa. Fourthly, black Americans already told you all about the whites, and their history is documented. Everyone needs to focus on their community. Black Americans, FBAs are so focused on ourselves. Don't call us. We are not customer care service. Somebody also said that, no way, do not call us to help you. After being racist towards FBAs, we have seen and heard the videos that was posted. They were looking for an excuse to do what they are doing, and it's called mob mentality. That's an old racist trick they use to do what they've always wanted to do. That racism never disappeared. It was just dormant, waiting for the best opportunity. Somebody also say that I'm tired of people saying black and brown. That is played out. Respectfully, Hispanics were in the US like that early, and when they migrated to the US, they fought to be classified as white. It was FBA who chiefly fought for the civil rights, and the rest of these groups came over and undermined them instead of collectively fighting with us. It's really crazy, and this is how black people are feeling in regards to this. Somebody also say that, can black Americans get a chance to rest? Every time we turn around, our names are in someone else's mouth. We are tired, resting, and focusing on ourselves. We have no allies, right? That's true. Black people got no allies for the longest time, right? The only friend to a black person is a black person. That's how it has always been. Somebody came and said that this is a little bit long. What I found funny is that when one of another race commits a crime in their land, they want to blame an entire race of people for one man's action. But when one of their people goes abroad to someone else's land and commits a crime, They don't want to call, they want all of their people to blame for their actions of that one man. I seem to remember Conor McGregor coming to America and committing quite a few crimes of a serious nature. So should America ban all Irish people from America and close its borders to any of them coming here? Given the history of the Irish people, they should definitely not be taking this type of approach. The Irish have been in this position for the Brits before, and it didn't feel good for them. It's awful what this guy did, and he should be punished for it. But Black Irish or Scottish who are abiding by the law should not be punished for their actions, or one of a few. Judge each person by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin or nationality. It's big world, and we all need and can learn from another. Much love and support from and solidarity from Black American to our Black Irish brothers and sisters. And the young lady, Nouri Khalid, great insight before. Be safe, everyone. That's just true. That's just right. Somebody also came and said that racist people are ignoring to wipe themselves out. You wouldn't think in 2026 humans will be more advanced, yet racist people are determined to wipe themselves out with their racism. One person's action does not represent the community. Why does that only apply when it's the oppressors being violent? Nope. The proof is in the history. Racists need to be called out and be addressed. Right. This is the last comment that I'm going to be reading. These are all like white, Caucasian, European diaspora that they can ask. That is Swedish, English, Polish, German, Scottish, British, Russian, Ukrainians, Finnish, Irish, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Greek, etc., etc. And outside of their own diaspora, they could contact the Asian diaspora, the Hispanic, Latino diaspora, and any other people, but don't ask my people. So, tell me what you think about this, right? I really want to know, like, your opinion in regards to this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Generic Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video.